The mid-2000s. What a time to be alive, especially if you were old enough to use the internet. Technology was advancing at a rapid rate, and the talented coders of the day were doing their code, talent, magic bullshit. Look at how insane Newgrounds was for a time there. The early rudimentary Flash games that now come off as a clunky imitation of the real thing still had a charm and novelty to them, mostly. But the best fan games out there could mimic the feel of an official product almost perfectly, with a layer of polish and precision that had not yet become commonplace. Some of these games even used familiar mechanics and characters to create new experiences that the official games released for, say, Nintendo's flagship hardware couldn't give you. Enter Super Mario War, arguably one of the most widespread fan games of all time, especially of the non-Adobe Flash variety. Super Mario War had an incredibly active community, the kind that was constantly churning out new skins, levels, and mods, which is in no small part thanks to creator Florian Hufsky's decision to make the game open source and offer an official level editor. Not only that, but because of the game's open source nature and relative simplicity, it was ported to every platform known to man. You want Super Mario War on your Wii? You got it. PSP? Sure. Dreamcast? Okay. Hell, someone ported it to the Switch as late as 2019. If you want to play this game and you have a little modding know-how, you got options. Yet, despite its longevity back in its heyday, the game seems to have been largely forgotten, buried by the sands of time. I mean, sure, there's the Switch port, but that's probably the most significant thing that's happened regarding the project in nearly a decade. Though this is not because no one's tried. Hell, barely anyone has even discussed the game at length, seemingly ever, on YouTube. Other than a small handful of brief, low-profile reviews, some tutorials on how to install the multitude of ports, and a plethora of gameplay videos, mostly from, shall we say, better times. To my knowledge, nobody has ever finished a video on this topic in an in-depth way, and it's long overdue for a contemporary review, so I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone and see if anyone's interested. This is a comprehensive look at Super Mario War.
Way back in the day,
there was a DOS game called Mario War. I kind of like that, actually. Way back in the day, there was a DOS game called Mario War. Nothing super about this one, I guess. This DOS game was developed by Samuel Paletto. This was a simple game using graphics from the NES Mario titles. The gameplay was simple. Every player had a set number of lives. You'd jump around and stomp on each other's heads, like a Goomba. Last one standing wins. It's just fun and simple computer gaming at its finest, right? Sometime in the early 2000s, it's hard to pinpoint an exact year. Seems to be like 2003 or before. Not sure. Florian Hufsky, an Austrian? Is he Austrian? I have to fact check myself as I read the script. He was Austrian. All right. Florian Hufsky, an Austrian coder, political activist, and eventual graphic design major, was playing Paletto's game at school when he had a few ideas of his own.
And one day at school we played that game called Mario War. Every time you jump on one Mario and with the same jump hit another one, I thought, oh my god, this needs the double kill sound from Unreal Tournament.
Okay.
So it's like boing, 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 double kill.
Right.
So yeah, I thought I should recreate that game just with Unreal Tournament sounds. Because I didn't like the old graphics, I used the Super Nintendo's version.
Right, Super Mario World, yeah.
It looked way better, and I called it Super Mario War and put it online.
He created his own version of Mario War from scratch, this time called Super Mario War. The game quickly attracted attention for its simple but addictive gameplay, polished presentation, and, most of all, its open source nature. The game was very mod-friendly, featuring a level editor, a world map editor, and the easy ability to add new skins, music, and other new content. Before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit more about the game itself. Super Mario War is really something special. It continued to be updated from its inception in the early 2000s up until September 2009 when the final official version of the game was released. Now, this version is interesting because it's version 1.8, but it's not actually the final version of 1.8, it's the second beta. The latest stable version is technically 1.7, although most people use this final 1.8 beta as it works pretty well regardless. So, if you download Super Mario War today, what do you see? You see the names of the developers. Florian, the creator, is credited alongside a few other names. In that interview I showed earlier, he talks about how 252, Michael Schaefer, took the reins of the project at a certain point. The two met after Schaefer played the Xbox version of the game in 2003, I told you 2003 was valid. Your Wikipedia's out here saying it was 2006. Bullshit. Bullshit. You can't tell me. You can't. There's evidence. And messaged Hufsky regarding potentially helping out. Stephen Graff and forum user Jared are also credited. I suppose I'll start by taking you through what you'll see when you want to play a simple, basic, classic match of Super Mario War. So, if we want to start, we're gonna hit the... You guys are supposed to finish that for me. Bunch of good-for-nothings. Worthless audience. Dislike. Unsubscribe. Anyways, start button. Duh. Morons. Single game. And oh my god! There are a lot of character skins in this game by default. All of them function the same and occupy cute little small Mario proportions. Have you ever wanted to play a game where you, Gardevoir, can go to town throwing hammers at Pac-Man and stomping on Mega Man before you ultimately get decimated by your greatest adversary, Hello Kitty? Such things are now possible. Now meaning 2009, but you get the idea. The core gameplay of Super Mario War is very similar to the original Mario War, and conversely, the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. You can run around and jumpity-jump, stomping your enemies into the ground, like Goombas. Also like Mario Brothers, going to the left or right of the screen won't kill you, it'll just spit you out the other end. Falling has a similar effect, but you can start falling too fast and die. Die. Link, I will make your face the greatest in Korodai, or else you will die. Taking some inspiration from later, more traditional Mario platformers, and maybe a little from Mario Kart, you can also get items, which I'll go over later. Players are separated into 4 different teams: red, green, yellow, and blue. A lot of matches tend to be free-for-alls, but you could make a 2v2 or whatever other combination you can think of with this, so that's just another option at your disposal. So, I've explained the basics. The core. But you will soon discover that this game is packed full of content, so let's go over each different mode. I'll preface this by saying that each mode includes a variety of specific options you can mess with that change how it operates. And I might not go in depth on them for every mode, so some of the rules that I go over may be subject to change depending on which options you choose. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Classic mode functions basically like the original Mario War. I explained the rule set earlier. Everyone has a preset number of lives, and the last one standing is the winner. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. It's your basic deathmatch mode. Next, frag limit is also pretty self-explanatory. Same basic idea as classic mode, except now, instead of every player having a set number of lives and the goal being to whittle down your opponents, each player is now judged on the number of kills they get, with the goal being to hit a set number before every other player. You kill a guy, you get a point. First person to hit a set number of points is the winner. Naturally, this is much more competitive than classic mode. I notice I tend to hang out in the background for a lot of situations in classic mode. Gotta preserve my lives. But in frag limit, I'm right up front, grinding my opponents into a fine powder. Not only do you have to worry about racking up kills quickly on your own, but you have to make sure your opponents aren't outpacing you as well. This means that yeah, you don't want them jumping on your head, but you don't even want them around for very long. What if they jump on somebody else's head? That is a point. We can't have them getting points. Good stuff. Time limit is very similar to frag limit, but with a time limit instead of a set number of kills. That means I could have just said time limit is very similar to frag limit, but with a time limit instead of frag limit. Mind is fucking blown, oh my god. You still accumulate points for killing other players, but there's no set number. It's just that whoever ends with the most points when the time runs out wins. This makes it even more hectic and crazy. The sky's the limit. The time limit. I didn't think that one through. Next one. Another one that uses frag limit as a base, jail has a bit more of a unique twist to it than a lot of the other modes. If you nail another player in the head with your feet, or otherwise render their life null and void, if you kill them, if you kill another player is what I'm getting across, then they'll end up in jail, which means they'll have this cage around them. They can't run, and their jump height is reduced. Sometimes this is a little inconsistent and doesn't seem to work, but I'll chalk that up to this being a beta release. Anyways, this makes the game even even more hectic because there's a punishment for failing other than your opponent getting a higher score, and you tend to have to strategize a lot more once you're in jail. Or you could just hop into another caged player over and over again until one of you prevails. Whatever works. Coin collection is exactly what it sounds like, although regrettably it doesn't work like the coin mode in Super Smash Bros. Such missed potential. Instead, one coin at a time will randomly appear around the map, and whoever collects a set number of coins first is the winner. Have fun. Stomp mode is kinda similar to Frag Limit in that you get points for knocking skulls in, except instead of stomping other players, you have to kill the many varieties of Mario enemies that will spawn on screen. Gooms, Koops, Spiky Cheeps, everything you can imagine. I really like that they included something like this. It's a nice mix-up, and all the enemies behave exactly as you'd imagine. More random spawn and stuff around the map. In Yoshi's Eggs mode, these Yoshis spawn all over the map, and so too do their unborn children. You gotta deliver their eggs back to them. Doesn't even matter if you scramble them. Ha-ha! Comedy! You have entered the comedy area. Do you get the joke? Because eggs can... First person to deliver a set number of eggs is the winner. I like that Yoshi uses his Super Mario World sprite, but the egg is all done up to look like the All-Stars version of Mario 3. It's neat. Alright, next up is Capture the Flag. Yes, really. Somehow, in these tiny-ass maps, they managed to make a Capture the Flag mode that works. Everyone's flags randomly spawn around the map, and you have to obtain one of your enemy's flags and return them to your little cloud. When you do that, your cloud will move, and you gotta do it again. You gotta get a certain number of points, yada yada yada. It's Capture the Flag. You know how it works. I know how it works. Chief knows how it works. This next one is interesting. When you start chicken mode, everything seems to be as it has always been before. But when someone finally lands a kill, things change, and you know deep down that they will never be the same. For, you see, when someone lands that first kill, they become a chicken. A cuckoo, in fact. That's the Link to the Past sprite, isn't it? And if someone manages to kill them, they become a chicken. Why would you want to be a chicken? Because, dear viewers, every second that you're a chicken, you rack up mad points, and the first player to reach a certain number of points is the winner. This is easier said than done, though. Being the chicken is similar to being in a jail. You can't run anymore, your jump height's reduced, and if you die not as the result of another player, but because of your own incompetence, you absolute buffoon, then you lose chicken status, and the next player to make a kill is the next chicken. However, if you're a chicken and you manage to make a kill, you get an additional 5-point bonus. I love the sound effect it makes when the chicken manages to make a kill. It really just adds insult to injury. Next is Tag. Okay, this one is a very complex game mode that's gonna be tough for me to explain. I'm kidding, it's Tag, come on. You know Tag. This game mode operates just like the backyard games of Tag that were a beloved staple of my youth. Except I don't really remember my childhood games of Tag being quite this, vertical. I also don't remember my colors inverting when I was it, but you know, my eyes weren't really focused on my body when I was it back in the day, so maybe I'm just not remembering right. My eyes ain't what they used to be, and by that I mean that they've actually somehow improved with time. Another great game mode. It translates really well to this engine. Moving along. Okay, so the next game mode, Star, is actually a bit tough to explain, but I'll do my best. Might have to refer to the game's README though. There are 3 variations of this one, but all of them play basically the same. In each one, there is an object that gets passed around between player to player, and a timer that constantly goes down before resetting. The first object is a Zdar. Zdar? I've never known how to pronounce this. It defies explanation. It's the black star thing from Mario Party. Don't at me. Anyways, if the object is a shadow star, you don't want it. When the timer ticks down to 0, the player holding the shadow star loses a life. Last man standing is the winner. I like this variant a lot for the fact that it's just fun to chuck that thing at people. Just yeet it. Although in retrospect, I said that this game mode was tough to explain, and this first variant is just hot potato. I gotta start thinking these things through better. The second object is a shine sprite. Not only is the name actually possible to pronounce, but this one is something that you want. Because when the clock ticks down to 0, the player holding the shine sprite is the only one who gets to keep their life. Everyone else dies immediately. This one is much more competitive and chaotic because it ends up being every player against the shine holder. Very difficult with 4 people, but very fun. The third object is actually multiple objects. This mode spawns enough stars for every player except 1, and I think you know where this is going. If the clock ticks to 0 and you don't have a star, you're out of there. I have a tough time saying for sure whether the mode with the 3 stars is my favorite or if it's the one with the stars, shadow, Regardless, this is a great time and one of the more unique modes, easily. Okay, so in domination mode, you got these 4 little boxes spawning all over the map, and you've got to claim them by hopping into them. Each one you've claimed will net you points the longer it's yours, although the other players can steal your squares, and if you die, you lose it all. The first person to reach a certain number of points is the winner. King of the Hill is another game mode that shouldn't be new to anyone who's familiar with the old multiplayer shooter genre. In this particular game though, the hill is just a big old box that you have to remain inside of to earn points. It'll move around to keep you on your toes, so you won't win by just camping one spot. Pretty self-explanatory, just as great as it is in every other game. Race is another game mode that seems pretty unique to Super Mario War. There are 4 big old flying square boys. How many times am I gonna need to talk about squares? This is ridiculous.
And now we're gonna go back up to the top. There. And that is a square.
Anyways, 4 square boys, and they're numbered 1 to 4. You have to pass through each square in numerical order, and once you've gotten all 4, you've completed a lap. When you complete a lap, you earn a point. It resets, and you gotta do it again. This mode can be pretty tough, especially when you lose all your progress if you die. Definitely sets itself apart though. Owned is another great mode. It starts off pretty normal, but if you stomp on someone, they'll respawn, glowing with your team color, and you'll be accumulating points because now you own them. Your opponents will get owned. You'll get owned. Everyone in this goddamn game will get owned. Definitely add the air horn sounds with that one. Frenzy mode is fundamentally just frag limit, but with these nifty randomly spawning item cards. Even more chaotic than usual on maps that already have item blocks, but it is kind of useful for playing on maps that lack them when you need that extra kick. Survival is another one that is effectively a variation of an earlier mode. In this case, it's basically classic mode. You know, you have a set number of lives, except there's thwomps and fireballs and potobos. More hectic. Hey, remember earlier when I talked about coin collection mode and lamented that it wasn't more like the coin mode in Super Smash Bros? Flashback sound. It doesn't work like the coin mode in Smash Bros. Such missed potential. If only there was some other game mode by a different name that functioned more closely to the ideal version of a game mode by this name that I had envisioned in my head. Well, Greed is exactly the idealist version of coin collection mode that I'd thought of in my head. Instead of coins randomly spawning in the air, everyone starts with a preset number of coins. If you stomp, burn, or otherwise wreck up your enemies, they'll drop a bunch of coins and you can accumulate wealth at the expense of other people. Capitalism, you know? Once you go broke, you die. This is a more depressing allegory for capitalism than I'd originally thought. God damn. So you need to claw your way to the top of Wall Street and end up with $50 bill. This is one of my favorite modes. I love coin mode. Don't at me. Best mode, Smash Brothers. Best mode. Health mode is another variation on classic mode where you have 3 Hardy Boys. It's called health mode. It's like Zelda. Figure it out yourself. Card collection is another very distinctive and involved game mode. Goal is to reach a certain number of points. How do you get points? Get 3 cards. These randomly spawn all over the map. There are mushrooms, flowers, and stars. If you get 3 star cards, you get 5 points. If you get 3 flower cards, you get 3 points. You get 3 mushroom cards, you get 2 points. If you get any other combination of cards, you get 1 point. You can't actually see what's on a card when you collect it, but once you have 3 cards, you have a little time to swap some of them to score a combo, and you can steal cards from your opponents by killing them. You lose a card yourself if you die though. This one is a little bit busy for my taste, but it's not bad. Phanto is another game mode built around the idea of holding an object and accumulating points. In this case, a key. As you may have guessed from the name, the twist for this mode is that if you're holding the key, Phantos from Super Mario Bros. 2 will hunt you down until you die. And you can't bring a key with you to the afterlife, so then you gotta go nab it again. First player to reach the preset number of points wins. Alright, last one is Shy Guy Tag, which has the distinction of being the newest game mode in Super Mario War, and the only one that has no description in the README file, so off the cuff, here we go. Feel free to yell at me if I explain the rules wrong. This one starts innocuously enough until someone dies when they are killed. They return to life as a Shy Guy. Once you're a Shy Guy, you can tag other players to infect them, although you don't stop being a Shy Guy yourself. Every player who isn't a Shy Guy steadily earns points. Obviously, this creates problems when everyone is a Shy Guy, so a timer comes up and everyone resets to normal. I think that was right. Did I do a good job? Are you proud of me, Dad? This is a good variant of tag. I like it. It's good. It's fun. So, Super Mario War has kind of a lot of game modes, and this isn't even all the content it has. Like I mentioned, pretty much every one of these game modes has their own unique options. I explored how each game mode works on its own, but Super Mario War doesn't simply make you go with a single game every time. You actually get a few options for how you want to format your fun. The next option is tournament mode, which is simple enough. You play a certain number of single matches until you achieve a certain number of wins, and then, when it's done, the winner gets an item from this roulette wheel. The winner will then start every match in the next tournament with said item at their disposal. Kinda reminds me of Bomberman Generation. Any of you guys play that one? Just me? After that, we have tour mode. This is a little like tournament mode in that it's multiple matches in a row, although in this case, it's a preset number of matches with preset conditions. And instead of being scored based entirely around who wins, you get a set number of points based on where you rank. First place, second place, third, dead last. I like this mode a lot because it has the potential to keep you on your toes by giving you maps and game modes you might not be used to. The point system is also a lot more compelling to me than tournament mode. In this case, each match isn't winner take all. You get something for managing to end up in second place, for example. I like that. Tour mode is probably what you want if you want to run through a bunch of matches at once and aren't picky about what modes and maps you want. But if you want to take it a step further than tour mode, then for you, my strangely picky friend, we have world mode. This mode essentially combines the tour concept with the Super Mario Bros. 3 world map. Each level holds a preset scenario, much like tour mode. Whoever wins a match ends up in control of the map, and you can actually control if you want to skip a level when there's a branching path. In addition to that, there are mushroom houses, which function much as they did in Super Mario Bros. 3. You get an item, and you can choose to activate it before a level. It's weird that pushing a direction doesn't just snap you immediately over to that level, it actually moves you quite slowly. Beggars can't be choosers, though. This only sticks out because of how closely Super Mario War replicates the feeling of the original games in every other way. Anyways, whoever finishes the world with the most points is the winner. I really like this mode. Tour is great on its own, but going the extra mile to make your session seem even more substantial is really fun, in addition to tying the game even further back to its source material. So, I think I have more than proved that this game is absolutely full of content, but what if it's not enough?
I gotta have more. I gotta have more!
What if you want to play as Isabelle from Animal Crossing, or Arl from Puyo Puyo, or Winnie the Pooh, or Lara Croft, or Gino, or Gurr? What if you want new levels, or worlds, or music, or sound effects? Super Mario War was built to be a very customizable experience, as indicated by its open source nature. It comes with a level editor and a world editor, and it's not too hard to make your own skins or sound packs too. I'll get into that in a little bit, but for now, I want to take a moment to talk about the Super Mario War community. For a time, the official Super Sanctuary website, which was the host for Super Mario War, had a whole subsection called SMWFFH, where users could quickly and easily upload their content. Before that was replaced with a more organized section, SMW Stuff, which sorted all the content into subsections with nice lists. The name still carries on as a new fan site, smwstuff.net, opened in 2015, and it's still currently up. People were letting their imaginations roam free. I believe the earlier incarnations of this system are where a lot of the skins that are included in the base version of 1.8 came from, but don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments, but don't start a flame war. Actually, if you want to start a flame war, the more comments I have on my video, the more the algorithm's gonna like it. So, if you want to flame me, go ahead. I'll flame you back. If you didn't care as much about organization, however, or if you existed in the time period between the original SMW Stuff's activity and the opening of the new site, the forum itself had a whole subforum for fan-made content. Most of the links are broken now, but it was a nice thought. Oh, right! The forum. 72dpiarmy.supersanctuary.net. The host for a classic, no-frills, Simple Machines forum experience. 72dpiarmy being the name of the development team behind Super Mario War. I talked about missing forums in the Poke Shipping video, and I've definitely frequented a few with this basic look and layout in my time. I'm not gonna talk about the Simple Machines architecture itself right now, maybe one day. But anyways, with this forum, users could share their content for Super Mario War, as well as talk to other players and even the development team behind the game. The sense of community helped keep the game strong, always supported with additional user-created content as well as developer updates. Now, I don't know if any of you had the same experience growing up as a poor young lad in the mid-2000s, surfing the web on Windows XP, playing fan games on the Newgrounds and whatnot, but back then, I could not get enough of games that let me customize and create my own characters, levels, anything. I was a creation junkie. I liked being creative, and so any game that let me have a little freedom to do stuff like that was inevitably a favorite, especially if I could share my content and use content that other people had created. I wish I'd come across Super Mario Wars sooner, when the game was still being actively updated and had a strong community, because it was right up my alley, especially considering that a lot of said content was eventually just added to the base game. The game came with a level editor as well as a world editor right off the bat. It wasn't hard to customize other content either, as the game featured folders for all of it. So if you wanted to add your own music or even your own announcer, as Florian had originally envisioned back when he started work on the game, it was a matter of adding your own files and doing a little renaming. As far as new skins went, there wasn't an editor included in the game, although you could use any image editing program to make your own. This wasn't necessarily ideal though. The way the skins work was a bit interesting. They're all stored as bitmap image files with all the necessary sprites a character needs. So simple, right? You plop one into MS Paint and replace every sprite with another character's, yeah? Well, not quite. Remember how the game has teams? Each team uses a different color palette, and if you were to just paste in some random sprites, then the game wouldn't know where to change the colors for each team, and it would just appear the same every time, like so. But if you change the palettes to a very specific set of colors, the game will actually know which colors it needs to change. Enter forum user Felix the Ghost's Super Skin Editor. This is a program that makes it a little bit easier to create a character skin with a palette that'll actually change based on the team color. I had a little bit of trouble getting it to work, but take my word for it. And of course, as Florian mentioned in that video I showed towards the beginning, there's even support for custom announcers. A lot of the links on the forum are dead now, and SMW stuff doesn't seem to have anything either. Mega upload? Regrettably, I can't even seem to find a working link to the Unreal Tournament announcer mod like Florian describes in that video, but here's a few interesting ones that I have found.
I hope you're ready this time. 3, 2, 1, let's begin. Double kill, triple homicide, quadruple homicide, monster.
Are you ready, Harrier? Get ready. Fight, Harrier. Good luck. Shot. It's all good. Keep on the move. Excellent.
The recommended amount of get-related lamp.
Happy feet.
Oh, baby, a triple!
What you say?
With the ability to customize all the assets so thoroughly, there have been a few full-on mods that aim to go for a particular theme, and I think that's really cool. Probably the most interesting one for most people is Super Smash Bros. 8-Bit. You already know what that is based on the name, yeah? Obviously, it doesn't play like Super Smash Bros. Exactly, but they do a really good job overhauling the game. It's not 8-bit either. False advertising! We have the entire roster of the Nintendo 64 game here, and everyone's got their own stage to represent their franchise, in addition to featuring the iconic Final Destination and Battlefield. Some of the stages are even from games that were never represented in Super Smash Bros., like Star Fox Adventure. I really like some aspects of the presentation, like the menus and music, although some stages leave maybe a bit to be desired. I'll chalk it up to the limitations of the stage creator though, and I would still heavily recommend this mod if it's something that interests you. There's even a melee add-on, and a lot of the stages included here are, either in part or in whole, more original than the ones included in the base version of the mod. So, thus far in the video, we've mostly been discussing the PC version, which is all well and good and nice. But I mentioned towards the beginning that this game has been ported to a lot of platforms, and I was not kidding. It is possible to play this game on the following platforms. Windows, Mac, Linux, Adobe Flash, Wii, Switch, PSP, PS Vita, DS, Android, PS3, Dreamcast, Xbox, Xbox 360, Raspberry Pi, Amiga, PS2, Nokia Tablet 800, GP2X, Sharp Zaurus, and 3DS. One take magic right there, yeah! Ooh, my voice. These are just the ones that we know for a fact have ports, and doesn't count systems that can run it via emulation, such as the Wii U being able to run the Wii version, or the PS4, which can run the PS2 version. Given the sheer number of ports, I can't possibly cover all of them in depth, especially given that I don't own all of this hardware, but with the help of some notes from Epic Martin 7, who's actually done research on this topic before, more on that later, I'll briefly go into some interesting info regarding some of these ports. These ports are generally very similar to each other and to the PC release, with the most important thing to note about them being that they're not all based on the same build of the game. Some of them use the latest version, the 1.8 beta build as a base, like the Wii and Switch version, but others are not that lucky. The DS version, for example, uses version 1.01 as a base, making it much more primitive. Speaking of the Switch version, it's probably the most robust port out there, featuring a much wider variety of screen sizing options as well as some exclusive stages. Although, of course, the stages can be found online and added to other versions of the game, but it's nice that they're here to begin with. Unfortunately, some of these ports are hard to come by now. While the Wii, Switch, PS2, and many other versions have been preserved and are readily available, a few versions are not that lucky. In particular, the Nokia Tablet 800, Sharp Zares, and most devastatingly, the Dreamcast version seem to have dead links and are very difficult, if not impossible, to find online. The Adobe Flash version is also pretty difficult to find now, and with Flash being discontinued, it can be risky to even look. Nevertheless, a lot of them are still out there, and so if you want to play Super Mario War on your console of choice, you're probably in luck. Unless your console of choice is the Gizmondo. I'm never going to be able to jump using the play button. Do you know what that feels like? So I mentioned that this game received its final update in September 2009. Unfortunately, only a scant few months later, Florian Hufsky, the creator of Super Mario War, ended his own life on December 16th, 2009. A month later, developer Michael Schaefer wrote a forum post in his memory.
I have known Florian since 2003. I emailed him after I found a homebrew game for my Xbox called Super Mario War 1.1. I had played the game and it was so much fun that, being a fellow coder, I wanted to contribute. The game didn't have power-ups yet, for Pete's sake. My first impression of Florian was he was this energetic young coder that was full of ideas. He wanted to build and contribute to the free gaming community. He had this idea to create a website called 72dpiarmy.com, 72 DPI being the typical dots per inch on display, where he wanted to build a community of developers, game designers, and players to create free, fun games. He wanted Super Mario War to be the first game released under this community. I went to work adding features for Super Mario War. We would have email exchanges discussing features and implementation details. He showed me his work creating the jump and run tutorials, and how Super Mario War used those concepts. The first power-up added to the game was the Starman, then a turbo button was added. He argued that we didn't need a turbo button and wanted to keep it simple. I told him we didn't have to use it. He created a CVS repository that we could use to collaborate. Eventually we had enough features that we thought it was time to cut a version. Florian thought we should have a forum for people to discuss and contribute to the game, so he created forum.72dpiarmy.com. I didn't think anyone would use it, but he was a believer. Boy, was I wrong. We decided on 1.5 as the version number and released it to the community for PC, Mac, and Xbox. It became crazy popular. People flooded the forum and began contributing maps and skins, tons and tons of them. Also feature requests that became version 1.6, 1.7, and 1.8. Talented contributors began to show up, and Super Mario War started building a loose team. ROM hackers, music and sound composers, map makers, document and HTML writers, graphic artists, platform porters. It was becoming a real open source project. I could see Florian smiling through his emails. He would send me links to articles or scans of magazines mentioning Super Mario War. He would update me on traffic spikes where popular sites would post a link to our download, and we'd get 10,000 downloads a day. Florian was featured on an episode of Game Jew. He was inspired by the success and started other projects, including Pewit. In his last email to me, he was planning the redesign of the Super Mario War website to coincide with the 1.8 release. I guess I should have released it a little quicker. Rest in peace, Florian. Your friendship, unique vision, and our conversations will truly be missed.
This was a devastating blow to the community. Soon enough, all the other original developers had moved on to other projects. Florian was gone, the game had seen its final update, and the community was inactive. But fans of the game have tried to bring it back numerous times in a few different ways. The most high-profile example is probably Super Mario War Stomp Arena. In a forum thread from July 2011, forum user Ion8 announced that they were intending to rewrite Super Mario War from scratch in Java so that they could support it themselves, potentially with some help from some of their friends who knew how to code in Java. This version was not intended to be an exact port, but it was to keep the same basic gameplay with, ideally, a more active developer and a more active player base. By this point, the forum had died down significantly, but you better believe that the people who were still there were excited. The new game received its own sub-forum with steady updates from the developers into the summer. Activity went quiet for a few months before fall, where it was announced that an alpha build would be up for the general public to play in November, and just as promised, it was. The alpha was promising. It was obviously in a very incomplete state, but it was playable and it was close enough to the original physics-wise. The big design difference was that the maps were a lot bigger, which obviously allowed for further creativity. Netplay was also in a primitive state, being a highly requested feature that never officially made it into the original game. It was buggy. It wasn't a perfect match physics-wise, but it was a good base, or it would have been if it had ever made it out of that alpha stage. No further builds were ever posted. Ion 8 and JM Dragon, the main developers behind this new game, have not been active on the forum since 2013. When I originally started working on this video, I wanted to be sure to give Stomp Arena the respect it deserved, instead of just being a footnote. I have rarely ever seen it be brought up since it was abandoned, and if it is, it's only ever in passing. But I realized pretty quickly when trying to research it that the reason I didn't want it to be remembered as a footnote is that I didn't want it to be a footnote. I was there when the alpha was posted, and I remember being so excited that I got to be a part of the community when it seemed to have a chance of picking back up with active developers. But the fact of the matter is that what the game could have been was way more exciting than what it was. The possibilities were endless, but so few of them came to fruition because it never left alpha. And that ultimately means that, despite the best efforts of the developers and of the community, Super Mario War 1.8 would always remain the definitive version of the game, and Stomp Arena would be doomed to sink into obscurity. Even so, despite all of this, I wanted to give it some attention and dignity, because it really was exciting, even if only for a brief time. There appears to have been one further attempt to reboot the game in 2019, this time built from the original source code and with a new, non-Mario toy-based theme, but it hasn't received any kind of significant update since September of that year, so make of that what you will. A few users have made custom builds based on 1.8 on the original forums too, but generally they only focus on adding additional skins and maps. One did include a tweak to make the game look crisper in full screen mode, but that's the most significant addition I've personally seen. This game actually made such a mark on the internet that I was not the first person who attempted to cover it, nor was I even the biggest channel. Believe it or not, at one point there was going to be a Source Gaming video on the subject. Famed gaming YouTuber and funnier, smarter, more active, and ultimately better version of myself, Scott the Waz, even recorded a cameo for it, which he ended up posting on his second channel. I was stunned when my friend, collaborator, and part-time editor Will sent me this.
You see, I was always a Super Smash Flash 2/Super Mario crossover kind of guy when it came to sprite-based games on your computer that Nintendo would be disgusted by if they ever saw. But looking at Super Mario War nowadays, I'm pretty bummed I didn't play this back when it was new. Just look at this. This is great.
I had wanted to make a video about this game for a while, and another one almost happened. I'd had trouble doing research for this video because Super Mario War is such a massive beast of a fan game, especially when you take into account the community that surrounded it. So I thought that I would reach out to Push Dustin to see if they'd learned anything during the production of this video that could help me out. Dustin was kind enough to respond to my Twitter DM, saying that he was in the middle of a move and couldn't commit to helping at the moment, but directing me to Epic Martin 7, who did the research for the video, and wishing me luck. This gesture proved to be incredibly helpful, and I would like to thank him from the bottom of my heart. At first, I had some trouble tracking down Martin. Dustin was easy enough to track down on Twitter, but Martin was a different story. His Twitter didn't appear to exist anymore, if it ever had. He had a Reddit account, but he hadn't posted on it in 3 years. There was only one place to go. Epic Martin 7 had a Smashboards account. For those of you who don't know, come on, Smash Boards? It's a website for prostitutes to buy billboard ads. That much is obvious. No, obviously Smashboards is a Super Smash Bros. Fan forum and one that has remained active for many, many years. In fact, Martin was still active on this account, having been online a day before I found his profile. I explained the situation to him and wrote him a DM. He responded quickly and kindly, giving me pretty much all the information they'd managed to mine out of the topic. In particular, a pretty extensive list of the ports with a few details on what made particular ports stand out from one another. This proved to be absolutely crucial to that portion of the video, and seeing other parts of how they'd thought to set up the original video helped improve my script. That makes it sound like I plagiarized. Yes, boys, this is it. The Source Gaming video. I told Martin that I wanted help on my video, but really I just wanted a script because I was too lazy to write it. The poker sipping video isn't even mine. I had a monkey program an AI to write it. I wonder if I can use this script to get a Scott the Waz cameo. gonna have to think about it. No, but seriously, if I can be genuine for a minute, I would like to extend my utmost thanks to both Dustin and Martin for their immense kindness and help. Without their work, this video would have been a lot shorter and a lot less interesting. It might have been scrapped entirely and not happened at all. My natural inclination is to do all of my research based on history, but in the case of Super Mario War, that's not the most interesting part. It's difficult to do an extensive amount of research on people like Florian Hufsky and Michael Schaefer, but at the end of the day, despite the incredible work on this project, they're only a part of the story. Super Mario War was open source for a reason. From the beginning, it was a community-driven game, and some of the work that community did has become a huge part of its legacy, and I think it's difficult to understate how big a piece of the puzzle that is. So once again, thanks to Dustin and Martin for hearing out a random dude sliding into their DMs and for giving me the resources I needed to make this video be the best it could be. They're clearly super passionate about what they do, and you should check out Source Gaming if you haven't already. While it would be great to see the game get some life again, or even see a reboot, it's not like the game was this poor, unfinished project that never lived up to its full potential. Super Mario War made it all the way to version 1.8. It spawned a community, and while that community is largely inactive now, look at what they did! There's an abundance of content for the game, a website still up to share it, ports to a plethora of consoles, even as modern as the Switch, and a permanent mark made on the internet, even if we don't necessarily feel its presence so strongly anymore. If you haven't played this game, I implore you to give it a try. It's held up substantially better than most fan games of that period. The level of polish and care and love put into this project is unmatched, and that passion should be remembered forever. I'm Jonii. Go play some Super Mario War. Go watch some Source Gaming. Peace out. Hey everyone, Jonii here. I just want to say thank you for making it to the end of the video. Thank you to my friend the Manic Pineapple for voicing over Michael Schaefer's forum post. He did an excellent job. Thank you to Push Dustin for directing me to Epic Martin 7, being super helpful. Thank you to Epic Martin 7 for providing me a lot of the information that I used for this video. Also incredibly helpful. Couldn't have made this video without any of them. So why am I doing an end card? Well, it occurred to me that in my script I said I would go over the items later, but then I never wrote a part about the items for the script, so I guess I'm just going to do it now, unscripted, to the best of my ability. So, these 4 mushrooms right here, all extra lives. 1 up, more than 1 up, I don't know how much these are, but they're a lot. The poison mushroom will kill you, Starman will make you invincible, Bob-omb will make you turn into a Bob-omb, and then if you hit a button, you explode. Kill people. Tanuki suit, you do not get the tail, but you do get the stone statue from Mario 3. And if you turn into a stone statue, you can kill people, or you can use it to hide from damage. The question mark mushroom will make everyone on the map switch places. The clock will slow everyone that is not the person using the clock down. The fire flower will give you fireballs to throw, like in every Mario game ever made. The bullet bill will let you send bullet bills in your team color flying all around the map. The hammer will just let you throw hammers like in Mario 3. The Podobo will again bring up a bunch of Podobos from the bottom in your team color that'll kill everyone else. Boomerang is a boomerang, obviously. Projectile, the 2 POW blocks are POW blocks. The bomb, you just place the bomb, it works like in Mario Brothers 2, it'll explode. Magic wand, you can send magic at people and it'll freeze them. Shells these are all just shells. You kick them and they're shells, except the spiny one has spikes on top, so you can't hit it from the top. The cape, or the feather and the leaf work pretty much as they do in the existing games, although the flying functionality is not the same, but you can use them to flutter. And you can use their tails to hit your enemies. The P-wing will let you sprout wings and then you can fly, but it works kind of differently from every other Mario game ever made. It's weird. If you hit the button, it'll send you up a little bit, so you just gotta keep spamming the button. And you don't get to swat people with your wings. Okay, I think that's it. Peace out, Jonii. Bye.